Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Sarvatra sama-darśhanaḥ. One whose darshanam, who sees sama, the same, the one, sarvatra, everywhere. So we have talked about the need for sama-darshanam. The reason why we are told to see sama, the sameness, oneness, in what is perceptibly, experientially vishama, dissimilar. There is duality, disparity, variety, multiplicity, divisions. That is what we experience. And with reference to that, we are told that may you see the sama, the equal in the unequal, the one in the many, the same in the apparently dissimilar things. Now we discussed what's the reason why we perceive dissimilarities. We perceive variety, multiplicity, dissimilarity, duality, divisions. That was explained through the process of creation. Because the Upanishad says, Sadeva Somya idam agrasit ekameva dvitiyam. Idam, this universe that we perceive, which we perceive as consisting of duality, disparity, dissimilarities. And not only we perceive that, as we said, but we take that duality, separatedness, exclusion, dissimilarity as real. So not only this Maya creates the universe of multiplicity, but also creates in us the conclusion that what we perceive is what it is. We give reality to this duality, reality to divisions, exclusions. We discussed how this in turn gives rise to the raga, dvesha, the attachments, aversions, which gives rise to kama, the desires. Raga, attachment, would create desire to achieve or acquire, possess, experience what we think is likable, what we think is the source of happiness. Dvesha again creates desire for avoiding or getting rid of what we look upon as a source of pain and happiness. That's how desire, kama is created. From that, karma is created. Action to fulfill that desire. From that, karma phala is created. Because every karma, every cause gives rise to effect. And thus we have to experience the result of the action that we have performed. The karta, the performer of action, becomes bhokta, the experience of the result later. The result will be judged as success or failure, desirable, undesirable. Again there will be reaction. Success, there is harsha, elation. Failure, disappointment, depression. It doesn't stop there. You pointed out that every effect also becomes a cause. Karma phala, the outcome of an action is the effect, is karyam. Karma is karanam, cause, and karma phala, the outcome is the effect. But the outcome also becomes a cause by creating in me a reaction of happiness or unhappiness. And happiness again creates a desire to retain that happiness, acquire more happiness. Unhappiness creates a desire to get rid of that unhappiness, to avoid unhappiness. So what is effect becomes a cause, and again a chain of cause and effect. So we discussed how giving reality to duality, not duality, not perception of the duality, not perception of dissimilarity or even disparity, is not perception or experience that is a cause of our dukkha or unhappiness or samsara. It is giving reality that this is what it is, this duality is real. Just as in the dream also, we experience a world which we know is a projection of our own mind, which we do not know at that time. And while we are experiencing the dream world is very much real to us. And therefore, I react to experiences of dream also in a way similar to I do in the waking state. There also there is happiness, unhappiness, pleasure, pain. Raga, dvesha, kriya, kama, karma phala. It's only when I wake up that I realize that this was not right, it was a projection, it was mithya, it was unreal. Then all those dream things do not have any impact on me anymore. The gains and losses of the dream, they do not count when I wake up. Because I know that they were just mithya, appearance, not real. Thus Vedanta explains that the means of becoming free from the sorrow created by duality is to know the true nature of what we consider as dual or as many, as divided, as separate, as excluding. And that is the reason why Vedanta tells us the story of creation. which we described earlier. Tadaikshata, that Sat, the one, non-dual, Brahman, Nirdosham, is Samam Brahma. Brahman that is Samam, Nirdosham, innocent, immaculate, ever pure. And therefore of the nature of Ananda or happiness. So that is the basis of the whole universe. This universe before its creation was Brahman, non-dual, whole, complete, Ananda, happiness, love. And not that it is any different now. The difference now is that now same Brahman appears with a costume of names and form, just as the clay appears with a costume of these pots and pans. What is now is still clay. After creation of many pots and pans, where pots are different from each other, there is a variety, there is a diversity, there is a disparity. Some may be good looking, some may not be good looking, some may be precious, some may not be. What is clay? But when we take the names and forms as real, then that clay, that very basis, that oneness is overlooked by us. So when we are living our life, interacting with the world, we just take as real what appears on the surface to our senses and to the mind. Like taking this pot to be real, and this pot to be real, and thinking that this is bigger, this is smaller. Or this pot thinking that this one is bigger, I am smaller. And that's how complexes are created. This pot knew that I am clay and this one also is clay. There is no comparison. Then there is no complex. But here, we suffer from many complexes of superiority, inferiority. All this process, as we described earlier, brings about a dissatisfaction with the self. But when I look at myself, I find myself thus a limited, inadequate, wanting, lacking self. And I think that is the reality about myself. So just as the duality in the world is reality for me, this limitedness, inadequacy, lack, want, centered upon me also is the reality for me. We discuss all of that. How these names and forms are created, and the creator as the enters, like an actor entering a costume, identifying the costume, assuming a new identity. The wealthy actor thinks that I'm a beggar. So this we explained the whole mechanism of why we feel the way we feel. On account of not so much of what we experience, on account of how we judge our experiences and how we judge ourselves, on account of giving reality to something that is not real. Swami, how do you say the world is not real? The Vedantins keep on repeating, world is mithya. That is why the process of creation was described. We said that before the universe was created, what was and what it was is just one non-dual, whole, complete self, Brahman. And then it created the whole universe from where? Brahman is devoid of all diversity because it is non-dual. Devoid of this sajatiya, vijatiya, swagata, bheda, all divisions. is undivided, indivisible whole. So the divisions are not there in Brahman. It is same, ever the same, and this dissimilarity is not there in Brahman. And all the experience of dissimilarities, all kinds of divisions, which are not there in the cause. How can they be there in the effect then? If Brahman, the cause, does not have the divisions in it, doesn't have the duality in that, doesn't have limitedness in that, how then the effect of the universe has its limitations and divisions and dualities and dissimilarities, how can it be? So you tell us. So usually we begin with the world and then want to understand Ishvara. If you begin with the world, the Swami, world is like this. There are divisions. I am separate, the world is separate, I am excluded. This is likable, this is how the world is, this is how the life is. And you say that Ishvara is one without a second. How can it be? How do you say Ishvara is fair? How do you say that he is kind? How do you say he is benevolent? How can it be when he has created the world like this? So when we begin from the world and try to understand the reality, all kinds of problems are there. So we should begin from where we should begin. Namely, we should begin from the reality. Upanishad begins from there. Sadeva Swamme idamagrasit ekameva dvitiyam. What is Sat, Chit, Ananda, one without a second, non-dual. Atmava idamekaiva grasit. And the Upanishad says, what all this universe was before its creation, nothing but Atma, one without a second. So Upanishad begins from the beginning. If you begin from there, then question will not be, how can there be non-duality when we experience only nothing but duality? How can there be sameness when we always experience dissimilarities, disparities, divisions? How can it be? But the Vedantic teacher would like us to ask question this way. If the cause is one, non-dual, ever the same, homogeneous, undivided, indivisible, ever complete, how can there be divisions? How can there be dissimilarities? There cannot be. How can there cannot be? We experience it, Swamiji. But do we experience duality? Or it is our judgment about what we experience? Do we experience divisions? Do I experience that you are separate from me and I am separate from you? Is it my experience? That you are superior, I am inferior, is that an experience? I am limited, no good, is that the experience? Or these are all conclusions? If we begin from the fundamentals, that the cause is one, non-divided, whole and indivisible, you can't divide Brahman because it's indivisible, is homogeneous, is partless, formless. And Vedanta teaches that what we are experiencing is this Brahman alone, but that's all there is. That you are different and I am different, that is not our experience, that is our conclusion. That I am a limited being, a helpless, hapless creature is not my experience, it is my conclusion. That's how I brand myself. How do you say that, Swami? I am limited. How can you say I am branding myself? I feel helpless in this life. I cannot get what I want. I cannot avoid what I don't want. I am not all-powerful. I am not omniscient. I cannot always have my way. I have to surrender again and again. I feel helpless again and again because I cannot have my way. To us, this helplessness seems to be the reality. Vedanta teaches that it is a conclusion rather than a reality. The cause of our unhappiness is not what is, but what we think it is. We come to the famous example, Vedantin famous example of rope snake. What is the rope? Poor innocent thing, harmless thing. But when I look at the rope, I'm scared. I want to run away. Why is it so? Not because of what is there, but because of what I think is there. I see that object as a snake and then I have all kinds of reactions. So my reactions are not towards what is, but towards what I think it is. And therefore, what is all right. In the words of Pujya Swami, what is Ishvara. What is Ishvara? Upanishad would say, Sarvam khalvedam Brahma. Sarvam, all of this is Brahman, nirdosham samam Brahma. Ever taintless, immaculate, ever pure, ever innocent, harmless Brahman. But that itself becomes cause of fear. Yada etasmin udarmantaram kurute atha tasya bhayam bhavati. Upanishad says that when I create a distance with Brahman, which is myself, when I see it as different from me, atha tasya bhayam bhavati, that very Brahman becomes the cause of my fear. That very self becomes the cause of my fear. That's how Vedanta explains. So it is not what is, but it is what I think it is my judgment or conclusion or opinion of what is not what I am. It is my judgment, conclusion, opinion of what I am. That is what the problem is. Therefore that can be tackled. If there was really duality, disparity, divisions in the universe, if I was a limited being, limited in time, place and in objectivity, in abilities, attributes, there's no way that we can be happy. There's no way that we can be happy regardless of what we do. Because a limited self, whatever I add into a limited thing, I am not wealthy enough, I become wealthy, I become powerful, I become well known, I can become all of that. But that I am limited, that will never go. I think that it is lack of wealth which is my problem, that I am a poor person, that's the cause of my unhappiness. That Swami, nobody knows me, that is my problem. Nobody bothers about me, nobody asks me, nobody takes me into account, that's my problem. And therefore I try to become somebody. I am insignificant today, I want to become significant. I can never become significant. whatever additions you make in insignificant, you still remain insignificant. So the process that we have adopted, as we explained earlier, the process that the world has adopted to solve the problem of unhappiness and to acquire happiness, that process is based on wrong assumption, therefore that process can never lead to success. Human being can never feel successful. There cannot be a sustained sense of success. There can be for a while when I have my way. When I feel I am something, that moment, I feel successful. As I said, that's just nothing but psyching myself up. It's a Brahma, it's a moha, it's a delusion, intoxication. Because regardless of what I do, I can never become significant. So if I was insignificant, understand that I am insignificant is my problem. And I am seeking to become significant all the time by asserting myself, by proving myself. But if insignificance was my nature, then there can never be happiness in life. If division was the reality of this life, that I am an isolated, separate being, that regardless of what I do, I cannot become free from isolation, separatedness. Momentarily it can happen, but there can be a sustained sense of freedom from separatedness, isolation, insignificance. Life is hopeless. That's why you find so much disappointment, frustration. And naturally all emotional problems arise from that. Naturally I don't like myself, an unsuccessful, insignificant person, therefore I don't like myself. And therefore we said, hinasti atmana atmanam, injuring myself by myself. It's a process of injuring myself by myself. So Vedanta says that what is not the problem. What you think it is the problem. That is why the process of creation was described elaborately. How from Brahman the elements space and air and fire and water and earth, Prithvivyam Oshadeh Oshadebhyonnam Annat Purushah. From Prithvi, the last, Annam, the food, from that the body, from all the living beings, all this is created. This creation process is described elaborately, in a sequential way, by the way. An important thing is that there is a sequence of creation. And that sequence may be different in different Upanishads. It's possible. And we may not find consistency in the way Upanishads describe the process of creation. But for Upanishad, that creation is not important. The sequence is important because we can reverse that sequence, that's all. We are told how the whole universe emerged from Brahman through the steps of space and air, etc., up to these tangible names and forms. So that we can reverse that whole process. And the reversal has to happen only in our mind. As to how, just as a goldsmith may describe the creation of a chain, of an ornament, how from a lump of gold he created a rod and then the wire, cut that wire into pieces and made rings out of them and a chain out of that. The sequence is described. At every step, the name and form changes. What is lump of gold may be called a rod, may be called a wire, may be called a ring, may be called a chain. What's the purpose of describing that process? That it is gold at every step. What is gold? Just appearing in different names and forms. So names and forms have their place in our life. Every object has a name and form and function, which is what we require for living our life, for interacting, for transacting, which is fine, for doing what we need to do. But important thing is that name and form is nothing but the original substance. In that whole process of making a chain, at every step, even though name and form is different, what is gold. So the process of creation is described not so much to give reality to creation, not so much to make it scientific, because Vedanta is scientific. Maybe. Purpose of Vedanta, science is not the purpose of Vedanta. To impart to us a knowledge of the reality is the purpose of Vedanta. And there were different methods may be there, different sequences may be there, different descriptions may be there, depending upon the student. With one purpose, that the student sees the source is Brahman, one without a second, ever same. Sama-darśhanaḥ. If there's samatvam, sameness, oneness, non-duality, similarity, if that was the truth, then only yogi can see that. How can you see what is not there? If what is there is all duality and division and dissimilarities, if that is reality, how can you ever see the sameness? If limitedness, lack and want be the reality about the self, how can I see myself as limitless, as free? Then that would be only imagining. It's not imagining, seeing what is. Ishavasyam, idam saram, yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Upanishad says, jagatyam, in the universe, jagat, whatever that is created, that is undergoing change, these names and forms. Ishavasyam is to be pervaded by Ishvara, is to be pervaded by Brahman, is to be seen as Brahman. All these variety of ornaments are to be pervaded by gold. All these varieties of pots and pans are to be pervaded by clay. That to be pervaded by clay is an action, is not that you have to do something. Clay already pervades. What is clay? But I think there are pots and pans and each one is different from the other, and this is good looking, this is not good looking, this is what I like, this I don't like, I want this, I don't want this. And then I suffer. So on account of giving reality of name and form, we overlook the very substance. So again and again Upanishad wants or tries to bring our attention, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Idam sarvam Ishavasyam. All of these universe of names and forms with all diversities, disparities, is to be pervaded, meaning is to be seen as Ishvara. He says it's to be seen. It's not that you have to imagine. To be seeing can be only of what is. Imagination also sometimes is taught for purpose of meditation, for the purpose of worship. That's called upasana. But here is upadesha. Upadesha means teaching. Teaching what is. When the teacher says, Tattvamasi, you are Brahman, Teacher is merely revealing an already existing fact, is not saying that you have to become Brahman. You are Brahman. Why do I need to be told that? Because I don't think I am Brahman. I don't think I am limitless. I don't think I am one non-dual. I think I am limited, helpless, different, separated, divided. And unfortunately, that perception is the cause of all my sorrow. Therefore, we need to be told to make us free from sorrow, make us free. See what you are. See what is sarvatra sama-darśhanaḥ. What is nirdosham is samam Brahma. What is Brahman samam, non-dual. So this is the process. When we see this, that is when we stop injuring ourselves by ourselves. That the world is mithya. Because, as we pointed out, Brahman, which is the cause of the universe, doesn't have any of this diversity and multiplicity that we see in the universe is the effect. So where did this division, where did it come from? If it did not exist in the cause, where did it come from? Vedanta says, who says it has come from? Who says it is there? Look closely. When we do not look closely, then we draw all kinds of conclusions. But when we look closely, there may be a big picture with all kinds of lines and confused drawing. I think that's what it is. He says, Swami, look closely. Then we look closely. Do you see the eyes here? He says, yeah, I see the eyes there. Do you see the lips? Yes, I see the lips. Do you say flute? I see a flute. When I'm made to see that, then I realize that in that tremendous confusion, there is a beautiful Lord Krishna. So Vedanta wants to look closely. These days we are familiar with those, I don't remember what it is called, but just look at closely. And slowly a pattern develops in there. And slowly I see Lord Shiva and I see a Mount Kailas and I see the road, the lotuses all around, you can see. At first sight, doesn't seem to be there. When you look closely, a beautiful pattern is there, a beautiful picture is there. Similarly, also what at first sight looks like this universe of names, forms, diversity, disparity, etc., etc. Vedanta says, look closely. Yasyandasthani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. Yena sarvamidam tatam. That one by whom all of this is pervaded. Yasyandasthani bhutani, the one in whom all these beings are. Look at that very substratum. Look at the adhishthanam. If this names and forms, diversity, duality was not then the cause, it cannot be in the effect also. It only can be an appearance. It can only be projection. So Vedanta says, all the duality is a projection. An appearance, not a reality. That projection or appearance of what is not there. What is not there, what appears to be there is called mithya. The duality which is not really there but appears to be there. Division which is not really there but appears to be there. Why do you say it's not really there? Because it's not there in the cause. Where did it come from? So it's not come from, it just appears. Vedanta teaches how Jagat is mithya, an appearance. Look closely. Brahma Satyam, Jagat mithya. Look closely. While we are standing at the seashore, at first sight what appears are a number of waves. And some wave is small, some wave is large. And imagine that we are one of those waves. All these are number of waves, I am just one of them. I am a small little wave, look at that large wave, it is rushing at me, it's going to crush me. But I am a large wave, I am going to crush the other small one. If I think I am a wave, but that's the kind of feelings I have. But what I am is nothing but water. A wave is nothing but water. At the top, at the bottom, in the center, wherever, nothing but water. If thus the perception of the wave changes, I am water, then other waves are also nothing but myself. Let's go sama-darśhanaḥ. A wave seeing his own self in all the waves. When would that happen? When the perception of the wave about itself changes. As long as the wave thinks that I am a wave, I am confined to this name and form, then it is complex. It's comparing itself with a large wave, I think I am small. Comparing itself with a small wave, I am big. Constant struggle going on within themselves. And regardless of what the wave does, it can never become free from that struggle, because waveness doesn't go away, it is real. But no, I am not wave, I am water, appearing as wave. Then it's okay. I am water, appearing as a wave. I am water, which has assumed the costume of a wave, or name and form. So what is wave? It's a name and form that is called wave. The wave is created from what? Is created from ocean, from water. And water does not have waveness at all. Water has no form, no name, no waveness. And from that water all these waves are created. Where did they come from? Just an appearance. You can give names, it's Maya, it's creative power, it's all kinds of, you can explain the way you want to explain. But what is water? Ishavasam, idam saram, yat kincha jagatyam jagat. In this ocean, whatever there is, it may be a big wave, a small wave, maybe a bubble, maybe a foam, maybe foam, all kinds of things are there which are all modifications of water, which are different names and forms. Ishava, we pervade them all with water. May you see them as all as water. But that becomes possible when this wave first sees itself as water. When the wave's own perception of itself undergoes a transformation, then alone it stops hurting itself. As long as the wave thinks that I am a wave, so long the process that it undertakes to become successful by becoming bigger than other waves, by pushing other waves, by asserting upon, its bigness upon other waves, In all that process, all it is doing is hurting itself. Hinasti atmana atmanam, injuring oneself by oneself. Only when its perception changes, that I am water, and then it's not difficult to see that other waves are also water. The self water that I am is a water that they are all. I am the self of all, and there is all there is water. There is no duality at all. So stand on a water. Yes, when stand on a waves, you can count many, which is fine. Which is what you require for vyavahara. Names and forms and functions have their role in our life. But we cannot give them reality and judge ourselves by a name and form and function. That I am confined to a name and form and function. Then the process of self-injury begins. Thus Vedanta teaches this process of transformation of my perception of myself. That I am not what I take myself to be. When I see that, then I realize that the world is not what I take it to be. You begin with the world and then you come to yourself, or start with yourself and look at the world, then come to world. Tatpada to tvam pada to tatpada. We'll take both of them together and see. So Vedanta says the solution to all our problems, and we say that all the problems are centered on the self. The self is no problem, but on account of opinion and conclusion about myself, the branding that I do to myself constantly, that I am a karta, I am a bhokta, I am sukhi, I am dukhi, I am a doer, I am experiencer, I am happy, unhappy, small, big, superior, inferior, successful, not successful. It is this which is the cause of the problem. And that's because of the wrong judgment I have of myself. Because I measure myself by my costume. I have given reality to costume. Every opinion that I have of myself is based on the costume. I think that I'm a mortal being. I was born at certain time. The moment I say I'm born, the idea of the death is always associated, because the birth and death are the two sides of a coin. And therefore, when I look upon myself as an entity who was born, I can never become free from the idea that I'm going to die, that I'm a mortal being subject to death. That I am limited. Body is limited. The mind is limited. Sense organs are limited. Costume limited. No doubt there is a limitation. From one standpoint, I am limited in every way. Swamiji's words, space-wise limited, time-wise limited. Space-wise limited. It's limited to one, confined to one space. At one place, at one time, and not another place. Time-wise limited, existing only during a certain duration of time, not before, not after. Intelligence-wise limited. Swami, physics is not for me. Geography is not for me. Limited. Memory-wise, Swamiji, I cannot remember. How do you remember these verses? I can't remember. Memory-wise limited. Ability-wise limited. Accomplishment-wise limited. Thus, if I measure myself from the strength of the costume of the upadhi, I am limited in every way, regardless of how big that person is, how famous a person is, how powerful a person is, how wealthy a person is, how accomplished a person is. But one cannot become free from a sense of being limited as long as I judge myself, measure myself, brand myself based on this costume. It's a costume. I've lumped the two things together. The actor and the costume, both are lumped together. That's how we say it. Upanishad says, Tat sruštva tadevanupravishata. Having created the costume, Brahman, Atma entered into that, meaning that chose to identify the costume. He did not change the identity. Anena jivena Atma anupravishya. As a jiva I will enter. Now he calls himself jiva. The one who Shiva calls himself jiva. And this is giving reality to the sense of limitedness, separatedness, division. One can never be successful regardless of what one does. Because that being divided, being separated, being excluded, being limited is my problem. All these superimpositions made upon I or the self. Sarvatra sama-darśhanaḥ. What is required is the change of perception of myself. When I have the true perception of myself, that's when I respect myself. That is when I stop injuring myself by myself. And to help me to see that, the process of creation is described. That what you are is what was the beginning of creation, one without a second. That's what you are. And then whole universe of names and forms is projected to explain what our present experiences are. Then look, this comes from nowhere. The duality comes from nowhere. There's no duality in the source, it's not there, it's not real. So look closely. A wave, look closely at what other waves are, at who you are. Look closely. What's your true nature? What is unchanging about you? What? Look yourself closely. What is your swarupa? What is the essential nature of yourself? What is unchanging about you? That's the swarupa. That's the true nature of yourself. The name and form is subject to change. It can break. And now a pot can appear like this. It can break into pieces, can be called shards. Name has changed, form has changed. Falls down, the name will change, form will change. That's all the time changing. That's the nature of this costume. Changes all the time. Never the same. Not even next moment it is the same. We may not be able to perceive that difference because it is infinitesimal difference, and so we don't see it. Only when people show me the old photographs. Swamiji, remember we went to Rishikesh the other day and look at this? Is it me? Myself? Between then and now, so much change has happened, but I don't see it. I see the difference when I see the two things in comparison. I could not be what I am now unless from that point I have been changing constantly. So what is changing cannot be the essential nature. Essential nature has ever to be the same. That's called nature, which does not change. And so, Look at closely, look at yourself closely. What is it about you that does not change? Look at the universe closely. What is it about the universe that does not change? That's called Swarupa. That's called the essential nature. See, that's what the reality is. That's what it is. But Swami, that's all right. That is clay. But then there is pot also, isn't it? Vedanta says there is no pot. All there is clay. Because take the clay away from this, no pot remains. Look closely. Look at yourself closely. What is the unchanging aspect of you? What is it about you that does not change, that ever remains the same? So much change is constantly taking place. The body is changing, the sense organs are changing, the mind is changing, intellect is changing, ego is changing. Everything is changing constantly. And they were taken for granted that I am constantly changing. Look closely. Then all this change is also, there is something that does not undergo change. Now I am a karta, a doer. Then I am bhokta, an experiencer. Now I am sukhi, I am happy. Then dukhi, I am unhappy. Now I am father, then I am son. And yes, constantly changing. But in all these changes, there is something that does not change. What is it? I am father, I am son, I am happy, I am unhappy, I am doer, I am experiencer, that I am. That does not change. So what's the big deal about that, Swami? What does it matter? The fact remains that I am happy or unhappy. If I am, that doesn't change, so what? Even though I am, you can say it does not change. The fact still remains that I am happy. So Vedanta says, look closely. Where does I am belong and where does happy belong? I declare, I am happy, I am unhappy, I am small, I am big. But then, I place them in the same locus. I am small, I am big, I am great, I am significant, I am insignificant. By making these statements, I am equating I am with significant, I am with insignificant, I am with happy, I am with unhappy, that both of them have the same, and they are in the same locus and they have the same reality. Look closely. Does happy belong or is happy the same place where I am is? Father is the same place as I am is? Father, son, happy, unhappy, all of these are there. But do they enjoy the same locus as I am enjoying? Or I am enjoying one locus. And this karta, bhokta, sukhi, dukhi, pita, putra, all of them enjoying a different locus. The I am is subject. The karta, bhokta, sukhi, dukhi, pita, putra, they are all object, understand? One is drashta, other is drishyam. Look closely. Because I am is drashta, I am is a witness, I am is self-existing, I am self-revealing, I am self-shining. And that father, mother, son, daughter, happy, unhappy, all those things are element in that I am. They can be known only when I am is shining, otherwise they cannot be. Even if that father, mother, etc. is not there, then also I am there. I am there, I am is there when they are. I am is there even when they are not. That I am is independent and all of them are dependent. I am is a subject, all of them are objects. I am drashta, they're all drushya. Look closely. But I'm happy, Swamiji. How can you say I'm not happy? Just to remind you of a small little episode Swami used to describe. This man comes to Puja Swami and says, Swamiji, I'm unhappy. Why? I'm just restless. There's no peace in my mind. There's no peace. I'm restless. So Swamiji, teasing that person, says, you're not restless, you are silence. No, Swamiji, silence is the last thing that I ever have. I am restless. I'm unhappy. You are all silence. I'm not silent, Swamiji. You're all silence. Swami, I told you I'm not silent. I'm restless. How do you say you're restless? I know I'm restless. How do you know you're restless? My mind is restless. That is right. It's your mind that is restless. You are aware that you are restless. You are aware of a restless mind. Restlessness belongs to mind. It is there someplace. Restlessness belongs to mind. I am belongs to a different locus. I know that I am restless, meaning that restlessness is something that is known, and I am the someone who knows. Therefore, I am and restlessness, they do not belong to the same locus, even though by declaring I am restless, I have managed to bring them to the same locus and equal in reality, and then I conclude that I am restless, I am no good. But restless is not where I am. Father is not where I am. Son is not where I am. The doer is not where I am. The experiencer is not where I am. I am is a different location. I am the subject. That is unchanging. That's the essential nature of myself. Everything else comes and goes. Like the essential nature of this object is clay. Essential nature of this object is gold. And you can melt the gold and form it in many different kinds of shapes and forms and call them different names. But gold is a common thread connecting them all. So I am a common thread connecting all of them, eliminating all the notions. If that difference is clear, that yes, doing is there, doer is there, but I am not the doer. The experiencer is there, experience is there, even experiencer may be there, but I am not the experiencer. That makes me free from the confinement of a doer, the confinement of an experiencer, the confinement of a father, the confinement of happy, the confinement of unhappy. Because each one of them is confined, suffering from limitedness, confinement. And that confinement, limited, is all right where it belongs. That father belongs to the body, is quite all right that it is confined. The happy belongs to the mind, it's quite all right that it is confined. All that it is changing, confined, limited, everything is all right where it is. But not all right where I think it is. By lumping the two things together, by lumping the object with the subject, equating subject and object, all that confinement is, in Vedantic words, superimposed upon the subject, superimposed upon I am, superimposed upon the self. And then I have a false perception of myself that I am a doer, I am an experiencer, I am so and so, I am limited. Sama-darśhanaḥ. So there is something samam. In all the changing notions that I have about myself, and that notion constantly changes, that I'm a speaker, I'm a listener, I'm a walker, I'm a talker, I'm an eater, I'm a drinker, constantly changing. And all those changing notions, there is something that does not change. Samam. I am. That is samam, the same. See the sameness. When I see that sameness, I realize that sameness is unchanging. That's the essential nature. The change is all right where it is. And I am the one that eliminates that change. I am the one that gives sattas for the existence, intelligence, liveliness to that change. If that separated division is clear, that viveka is there. If you can separate the two, I would lump them together. There is aviveka in my life. What is required is viveka to separate. Then sama-darśhana, I become a sama-darśhta, the seer of the sameness with reference to myself. We'll continue our discussion. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.